Welcome to the Senior Show. I'm Barb Richards, host of the show, and today we have a very interesting show to share with you. We have lots of information. I have Andrew and Tracy Sharpe with me, and they're from Sharpe Hearing. And I think sometimes people hesitate a little bit to go get their hearing checked. So we're going to find out from Andrew how easy they make it, and we're going to find out from Tracy how she'll greet you when you arrive at their studio. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's been a long time coming. We've been going to do this for so long, and finally we're here. That's good. That's good. Well, first of all, though, I read that you're both Barrie people. Hometown, grown and raised.
Born and raised.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tracy, tell me about you. Where did you grow up? Whereabouts in Barrie?
Oh my goodness. Just in the east end of Barrie. And went to high school at Eastview, and that's where Andrew and I met. And continued to Georgian College, where I completed business. And now we live in Horseshoe Valley, raising our 3 kids, and still here, part of this community.
I heard from real estate people that the people who lived in the East End when they were teenagers or went to school want to come back to the East End.
Yeah.
It's like a neighborhood. It's like Allendale. But it's a real neighborhood like the East End. They want to come back to the East End. Mm-hmm. That houses sell very quickly in the East End.
Yeah. Well, it was really weird when our 16-year-old is now at Eastview, and for us to go to parent-teacher interviews and walk down those hallways again, it's just, it brings us back.
You don't look old enough to have people going to high school, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Andrew, what about you? You grew up in Barrie too?
I did. I was born at RVH, and I grew up in Allendale, right behind Allendale Heights Public School. When I was 7 years old, my family moved out to Craighurst, where I went to school, public school at W.R. Best, and then on to high school at Eastview. And yeah, Tracy and I met in 1989.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 30 years ago at Eastview. It's been a very interesting life so far out
right.
in Horseshoe Valley.
Okay, Tracy, you worked in doctor's offices and things like that sort of job.
I
after
did.
you graduated?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. What was it like, and what skills did you pick up there that you can transfer over to where you are now?
Definitely customer service. Being in the medical field, you just don't know what challenges people are having when they walk in to your office. And I worked with several general practitioners to specialists, the after-hours walk-in clinics. So I worked in that industry for about 20 years, and then was hired on by a hearing aid manufacturer and opened up clinics.
Oh.
And I was everywhere in Ontario except for Barrie. And I said to Andrew, I'm losing my sense of community. I want to come back and let's start something here in our own community.
So that was a great idea.
That's where it began.
You have to identify a need. So
Absolutely.
What about you, Andrew? Then were you always interested in hearing and what was going on, or what was your background?
So I graduated from school in business, and I kind of did different things, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I originally wanted to be a golf pro.
Okay.
And I worked at Horseshoe for
Were
a long time.
you a good golfer?
I was getting to be a pretty good golfer.
Yeah.
But then when you have young kids, it's hard to fit golf into raising a family. So I had some different jobs through. I did work after I got out of school. I worked in the casino business and dealt cards for a while.
Wow.
Yes, and it was in 2005 that I made a decision to change a career, and one of our friends who is an ear, nose, and throat doctor in Barrie suggested this, and Tracy was in the industry. So I went back to school for this job.
And how long did that take? How long did you go back to school for?
The program that I did was 2 years, and it was very specific with hearing testing and programming hearing aids. And I had to work in clinics, so I did a lot of practical working with other specialists and professionals. So, which is very intense and certainly not easy, but I've never looked back. I love what I do now. So.
Well, it's nice to love what you do, right? Mm-hmm. To have that passion for what you do. So what was the biggest thing for you then? You went and you had training and you were educating yourself so that you could open a clinic. What was the biggest thing to you? What was the sort of eye-opener? It was like, oh, I never thought that it would be like this.
As far as opening our own business?
No, as far as you being in the hearing aid or the hearing industry when you went to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was something that you learned at school?
When I first started in the industry, it was very difficult because there's so much to learn, and it's continuing education. I have to educate myself every year. I have to put a certain amount of hours in for education because this industry is constantly changing.
So it's a regulated industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to keep up to date all the time with the technology changes.
Yeah.
So that's always a big challenge, and was initially. You know, seeing people getting fit for hearing aids the first time, and seeing their faces, seeing that reaction of, you know, wow, I can hear everything in this room, and you know, I do a lot of things during a fitting that shows them this is what you're missing, this is what you should be hearing, and seeing that it just makes the job wonderful to see the changes in people's lives over, you know, long periods of time.
To be able to share that moment with them when they realize
Absolutely.
that they can hear again.
Yeah.
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 What about you, Tracy? What was the big thing that you learned about customer service before you came to the clinic, before you formed your own clinic?
Just an overall understanding for people and the challenges that they're having, specifically to hearing. I get to hear all the spouses or the family members' point of view. So they generally do go in for the appointments, but part of the hearing, the first part of the hearing assessment, a lot of them sit out in the reception with me, and we'll have our talk, and generally people open up and tell me their challenges that they're having with mom, dad, brother, sister, not being able to communicate, or television is way too high, or, you know, they're missing out on so much, and I just hope that they
Did
get
you ever
the
have
help.
anyone bring someone in, they thought they were hard of hearing, but then it ended up being the spouse who was hard of hearing?
Absolutely.
Very recently. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very recently. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, and that's where the challenge comes, because you know, a big part of my job is counseling and educating, and for people to understand that there's a lot of things that they're not even aware that they're not hearing. You know, it's usually something alarming that happens. I did have somebody come in who didn't know they had hearing loss when they were at Walmart, and a bell was going off, and their friend said, "Oh, that's so annoying," and they didn't hear it. So that's what brought them in. And of course, then there's, you know, this domino effect of, oh, yeah, I am having this difficulty and this difficulty. It's the realization of it, and that's where I help them through that process to understand it.
Yeah.
So they did end up getting hearing aids, and the spouse didn't need them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I went for hearing aids, and it was I just remember sitting in the office, and you say about that moment, that just defining moment. I remember I could hear the birds outside. Mm-hmm. I didn't know you could hear the birds outside.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like I thought, she's pushed a button.
Yeah.
Like there's something happening
Sure.
here. There's no way I can hear the birds outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could hear them all chirping, and I thought, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And I was so shocked that I couldn't hear. I sort of knew that I couldn't hear, but I had some serious issues with some areas of my
Right.
hearing. And, you know, and my family was saying, Mom, when we ask you a question, sometimes you don't give the right answers. And,
Right.
and being an auctioneer, I couldn't hear myself as well as most people. And so I would end up shouting into the microphone. And my daughter would say to me, Mom, stop shouting.
Right.
I think, who's shouting? Like,
Right.
yeah.
I often tell people that too when they say, well, I can hear the birds. And I say, well, you can probably hear the bird, but can you hear all of them? Right? It's
all
the
of them.
fullness.
It was like,
It's
yes.
it's going out for a walk in the woods, and you can hear the crow, but until they put the hearing aids on, now they, oh, okay, this is
And
what
you
it
hear the
sounds like.
leaves, and you hear
And you
everything,
hear everything. Yeah,
that whole
yeah, it's-
experience.
Well, you're not aware of it because it takes
No.
takes years to lose your hearing. It's very slow over a long period of time, so you don't really notice. You don't notice the things that you're not hearing.
Why are people reluctant then to come into I dragged my heels, and then I thought, I have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it was because I needed a broadcaster's ear piece.
Right.
That I went in, and I said, you know, maybe I need my hearing. And they did my hearing. She said, yeah, you.
It's the stigma.
There's certainly still
Yeah.
a stigma attached to hearing aids, you know, and that's a part of people not understanding, you know, what they look like now, what
Yeah.
they are. It's not the big hearing aids necessarily that our grandparents wore. So it's having an understanding of what the product is. But it's until they actually wear them and benefit from them that they don't care anymore. They
Yeah.
don't care what they look like. You know, my mom's is bright red.
Yeah.
She's perfectly fine with it. She says it's the best way for me to see it if I drop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Good idea. And remember the big old trumpets that you see on the
Oh.
old-fashioned movies? That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Eh? But that's what you feel like you need to be able to hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at the size of the hearing aids that are here now.
Absolutely.
Do you want to just show me some
Sure.
of those? Or
Sure. So these are just some different, I don't know if you can get, I'll lift them up.
Okay.
Most people would look at something like this and think that's what they're going to be wearing when they get a hearing aid.
Okay.
You know, it's got a large piece that goes behind the ear and a mold. This piece right here is a mold that fits in the ear. Certainly in some cases, individuals would need to wear something like this. This is for a severe, profound hearing loss. You
Okay.
need to mold the ear and have a lot of power generated to amplify what they need.
Okay.
Somebody who's wearing this hearing aid generally has worn hearing aids for a long time, or they've been struggling for a long time, and they really don't hear much of anything without a hearing
Yeah.
aid. So that's what a lot of people think they're going to be wearing, is
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
The most common hearing aids now, this is something that goes behind the ear. The little piece that goes in the ear right here, you'll see that it's not molded. It's what we call a little dome or a perforated dome.
Oh,
I think
right.
that's actually what
Oh my
you wear,
goodness.
isn't it?
No.
Similar.
Mine's yes,
Or
somewhat
maybe it has
similar.
a mold
Yeah.
on it. So this is very common as far as a hearing aid goes, because with this we don't need to plug the ear with a mold.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the ear sealed in order to generate that power, that
Yeah.
volume. With this, you're usually amplifying just high frequencies in speech, which is commonly what we lose as our hearing declines with age, is those high frequency sounds.
Well, and I suppose if you tested everyone, there would be some hearing loss in everyone, right?
We
Would there
all
be?
lose our hearing.
Yeah.
We all lose our hearing. You know, to some degree, we all lose our hearing. Whether we need hearing aids or not is the question. You know, I can tell you that my dad he just turned 90, and his hearing is still within normal limits, so he doesn't need a hearing aid. And my mom's been wearing hearing aids for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So the lifestyle was pretty much the same over the years, but
Yeah. My
one
husband
needed
worked in
hearing
a factory. He says there's nothing wrong with his ears, although he has very selective hearing on occasion.
aids. Right.
Yes,
Right.
they all do, right?
Right.
Tracy?
That's right.
And that's
Yeah.
a big part of hearing loss too. You know, industry, factory workers, they often have this high frequency hearing loss
Yeah.
that is from noise damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tracy, you would get to see people walking out with their new hearing aid, or when they come for the fitting after it's been tested and everything. I bet they're pretty happy. What do you think? What do you see them?
Super happy.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't do this with anyone else. The way that Andrew fits hearing aids and understands people coming in to see him, he's just amazing. And when people walk out, they have all of these gadgets, you know. Maybe somebody that was a little intimidated prior to coming into the office, well, now they understand, and they have, you know, cell phone connectivity, or they can, you know, have these special gadgets for their TV. They love it.
Well, I remember coming in because I had got my original hearing aids out of town, right? And so I came in to see you, and I was thinking in my head, I hope they don't push me to new hearing aids because they're fairly expensive, right? And so hope they don't push me. Oh, well, Andrew, you just took my hearing aids and adjusted them and did everything and put a different end on it, and it was just like, oh wow, this is amazing. Yeah, because you really did care about how I could hear and whatever, and making what I had work.
For you, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what we do. It's the ongoing service that you have with your hearing aids. You know,
Yeah.
hearing aids should last 5 years. Sometimes they need to be replaced earlier, but they should last 5 years or longer. And they need to be maintained. It's like getting your car. You don't just leave with your car and off you go, and 5 years later you buy a new one. You need to maintain it. You need to change the oil in it. So we do that for our patients.
Do you send out notices to people
We
and
call
say,
them.
call them?
We
and
call
say,
them. Yeah, we have people
Or they
come.
book before they
Yeah.
leave for their 6-month checkup, and
Yeah.
just so that when, you know, they can go home and we give them all the tools to clean their hearing aid and to understand what they need to do to maintain it. But for them to come in every 6 months just so that Andrew can get deep cleaning inside that hearing aid just to make sure that all the parts are still working the way that they should.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just, well, it's just absolutely amazing. And I think the fact that it's a husband-wife team, a family team, really adds to that. And you can feel like you can trust, it's like, wow, I trust you guys. So anyway, we're going to come back in a few minutes and we're going to talk about why and when people come in for their hearing test and the process, what happens when you go in to the office and get your hearing checked. So join us when we come back. We'll see you in the next segment. Welcome back. I'm Barb Richards, host of the show, and today we're talking about hearing and hearing loss and all the wonderful things that are out there now that can help you to hear. Do you turn up the TV and keep turning it up louder than other people? Or do you, talking to someone and you're thinking, I'm not hearing the words that they're saying, why are they mumbling? Well, we have two experts here who will take you through all of the steps necessary to make you feel so happy about hearing again. So, Tracy, I guess they would call you first, right? To make the decision, though, to come in and get your hearing checked is not an easy thing to do.
It's not, and it's typically the family that have mentioned something that drives that person to make the phone call. And people do it on their own time. I know that I do hear family members while they're sitting there waiting, once they have brought in their spouse or their grandma or grandfather, and they've had to do it on their own.
And it's not always for older people either, although this is the senior show. There are many people under the age of 50 who
Absolutely.
would
Our
benefit.
client is getting younger, and I think it's because there is more available. Hearing aids have gotten better. People are used to wearing ear devices or seeing ear devices, so people are coming in more acceptable.
But there's, and it's wrong, but there is a stigma attached to hearing loss,
Absolutely.
right? Because what do you mean you wear hearing aids? People can't believe it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, people are just getting more acceptable to it.
Yeah. So you have to listen to what they're not saying on the phone as much as what they are saying, right? And be ready to give that information to Andrew so he can bring that up during the conversation with them. So that makes a team that works together to make the proper
Absolutely.
thing fit. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm very aware that when somebody calls in for their first time, they probably cannot or have difficulty hearing me over the phone. So we do talk louder in the clinic. We go home to our kids at night and they say, stop yelling at me. But yeah, we do try to pronounce and speak very clearly when we talk to people.
Often people will say that to me when they come in. Well, I don't have any problem hearing you.
Yeah.
Right? Well, not everybody speaks like me. I do really enunciate those sounds that I know that they struggle with.
The,
Yeah.
I remember when I had mine done, and the lady who tested my hearing, she said, "Boy, you must be a dandy lip reader." And I said, "I am." I knew that. I knew I was a good lip reader. I could still lip read on the TV.
Which we all do.
Yeah.
We all do. I mean, even with normal hearing, we still struggle in some environments. I'll ask
Yeah.
Tracy to repeat, and I know that my hearing is still good. So,
Yeah.
we all struggle to some degree
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's understanding how sound travels that you kind of learn. So,
So what brings people in then? They're having difficulty in a group or what?
generally it is, as Tracy said, generally it's the spouse or kids, somebody is telling them that they're having difficulty or that they're not hearing them properly. So it's usually that push that gets them in. That phone call is them saying, okay, I'm going to do something about this.
And I think it would make a difference how the family says that to them, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's something wrong with your hearing, like
Right.
not another problem.
Right.
Are you sure you can hear me or whatever? It needs to be done in a way that reassures them that you're going to take them in and take care of them.
Typically, it takes somebody about 5 to 7 years before they come to terms to make that call.
No.
So that family has gone through all of that gradual loss, that frustration built up to finally say, "Mom, call."
Yeah.
So
Well,
there is
how
a lot of
frustrated
patience
was Mom
involved.
during that whole time when she was losing her hearing?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And generally it's the case that after they fit and start wearing the hearing aids, they're like, why didn't I do this earlier? Why didn't I do something about this earlier?
That is so true
It's
of
all- it's
so
all-
many things, isn't
Isn't
it?
it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so people are going to come in, but just before we talk about what happens when you do an assessment, do you want to explain some of the other little hearing aids that you have there?
Sure. So these three here, you can't see them now, I'll hold that up. This is a very small hearing aid. A lot of people come in and they say, I want the smallest hearing aid. I've seen this advertised. It's very tiny. It goes deep in the ear. This is a custom hearing aid. So once again, this is a mold of the ear that we have to take, and then we fit this hearing aid in.
Yeah.
This would fit a mild to a more moderate severe hearing loss.
You would never use it for a severe hearing loss.
Severe to profound, you'd need a lot more power in a hearing aid. So the amplifier, the speaker inside the hearing aid has to be bigger. So you can't fit a large speaker in a very small space. The other issues with this hearing aid, you're dealing with a very small battery, which can be difficult for some people to insert. The battery doesn't last as long in the hearing aid, so you have to change it more often. So this is a custom, very small, we call this a completely in the canal hearing aid.
So it might be a younger person who would probably choose that, or because it's tough with your fingers to manage that as you get older, and then you can't see.
And that's a part of the assessment. That's a part of my, helping people to make those decisions as to what, because a lot of people come in and this is what they want, but this isn't necessarily what's the best for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what about
Then you get into larger hearing aids. This is a larger custom hearing aid. This fills up the whole ear. Now the battery in this hearing
That
aid.
seems very big. Is the inside of someone's ear that big?
This is the part right here that goes in the ear canal.
Yeah.
This sits in the entire portion of the ear called the concha of the ear.
Okay.
So this is generally easier to handle. It has better retention in the ear, so it will hold the hearing aid in better. There's not the concern of it possibly falling out of the ear. And the battery's larger, and it's easier to put in and out of the hearing aid. See, this battery will just dump out like that, and then it'll drop in the well like that, and then you push the battery door down.
Oh,
So it's much easier
easy.
to manipulate for people. And then this one here is the same. It's just smaller. Somebody doesn't want it to fill up the whole ear. It does matter the size for the speaker. If the speaker has to be larger in the hearing aid, then the hearing aid has to be larger. So that's when you would have to go to a bigger, what we call a custom hearing aid.
Well, and I guess people find it as difficult to choose what they want along with what you're saying they need, as if you were buying special frames for your glasses or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a part of what I do. I will make a recommendation, and oftentimes if somebody comes in with an idea of what they want, and I make a recommendation for something else, I need to explain and I need them to understand why that is.
Yeah.
Why is that? Trust me on this. This is what's going to be the best for you, and then I help them through that process.
Okay, that's awesome. So now they've come in, the family members there, and you said that hearing loss affects everyone in the family.
Sure.
So probably they have a spouse with them. They've come in, and what happens? That you bring them in and you have an introduction, and do you gather information ahead of time, Tracy? Do you gather information? What sort of information would you gather ahead of time?
I help them out a little bit with the case history, but really Andrew likes to do that within the appointment. For me, it's just calming, getting to know them on a personal level, just making sure that if there's anything that Andrew would need to prepare his room, if somebody was in a wheelchair, we've made all of our equipment, our booth wheelchair accessible. So just making sure that the room is comfortable setting for them to go into.
Okay. We do have a form that Tracy will help our clients fill out to just build up kind of the case history of any medical concerns, any medications that they're taking, types of difficulties that they're having. But I really like to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You get a lot more information from people when you sit like this and talk
Instead
to them.
of reading it on a piece of paper.
Well, yeah,
right?
and it's not, and then it's not personal. You know,
Yeah.
this is a big step for people to make. This is a
Yeah.
big choice that they're making, and you know, filling out a piece of paper and checking, it doesn't give me the information that I really need. I want to hear it directly from the client and from the spouse. So we encourage that.
That's the personal service we talk about, right? That you do that and you get to know the people that you're dealing with. So you do a case history and,
Yep.
and sort of any medical problems or concerns they have. So it's an assessment. It's not a pass or fail.
No.
There's no such thing as,
No.
so it's not really a test. It's an assessment. Where are you right now today with your hearing?
Yeah.
All right. So then what happens then?
So I would have them come in, we would sit and have that conversation and discuss. I want to see, you know, is your hearing loss something that's happened suddenly? Is this something that's been going on for a long time, you know, that you're coming to terms with now? Discussing that. Because I need to know, is this possibly going to be a referral to a doctor? You know, it's important. There's not just one hearing loss that you can have. There's other types of hearing losses, and some of them can be treated medically. So we need to build up that information so that I know during and after the test what we need to do. So we would have them come in, we would sit and have that discussion, and then we would go through a hearing test. That is the sitting in a booth, putting the headphones on or the insert earpieces. I sit outside the booth and, you know, have a conversation, talk through the glass in the booth, and then I present different tones, and we find a threshold or where your hearing is. We're mapping out where your hearing is. And I did bring a hearing test to show you, which we'll put up afterwards, if there's hearing loss. And then I would go through the hearing loss afterwards.
Okay, so then are people quite surprised when they see that this big, let's bring this maybe forward a little bit here.
It may fall.
May
Do you want me to just
fall.
go back? Okay.
All right. So this is where the sound goes in. So do
Sure.
you want to explain what happens?
So for me, I always like for people to have an understanding of why they're having difficulty. Why
Okay.
am I having difficulty hearing? So this is a description of what the ear looks like right into the nerve of hearing. So we hear sounds as vibrations. Sound vibrations travel through the ear like waves. They hit the ear. Those waves funnel down the ear canal and they hit the eardrum. When it hits the eardrum, it becomes a mechanical motion.
Okay.
And it causes these three little bones in the ear. This one is the smallest bone in your body. It's called the stapes. And it's attached to this, which is called the cochlea. It looks like a snail,
It does.
right? Cochlea is actually Greek for snail.
Oh, really?
So within this nerve, or the cochlea, we're born with about 30,000 microscopic hair cells. They're little wee tiny hair cells.
Oh, that's where the little hair cells are.
Sure. Right, some
okay.
people think it's actual hair.
I thought it was out
No, it's
there,
not.
yeah.
So these are microscopic hair cells. And they stand up nice and straight and tall, and those vibrations come through, and they create a motion within the hair cells that sends the signal to the brain.
But if they're not standing up straight,
Right, so what happens over time, or if we're subjected to a lot of noise or some medications, or it's hereditary, those hair cells aren't standing up nice and straight and tall, they're damaged. So they're crimped or they're laying flat
can they be
down.
repaired?
No. No, this is irreversible hearing loss. So when it's related to the cochlea or the nerve, that's hearing loss that is irreversible. That's when hearing aids are likely the solution.
Yeah.
Not always, but likely the solution. We can have other types of hearing loss too. And having an understanding of that is why it's important to get your hearing tested if you think you're having problems. You know, this is the middle ear. So you can have hearing loss that's related to the middle ear. There can be a fluid buildup. That's what happens with little kids. You know, little kids get ear infections.
Oh yeah, they used to put the drains in their
Sure,
ears.
they actually put a tiny, they call them tubes. And it's actually a little wee grommet type tube that they put right in here, and it just relieves the pressure between the two sides, because this is a sealed area. So if we have hearing loss, which is called conductive, which is either a buildup of fluid or something going on within the middle ear, it can cause hearing loss. And oftentimes that can be treated
If
medically.
you had water on the ear, like if you were swimming and had water, where would it be?
It would be on the outside of the ear.
okay.
Yeah. Sometimes if you have wax in the ear and it's built up and the water gets in behind it, you'll feel it in your ear, and it's actually trapped in behind the wax.
Oh, okay.
Because one way to keep your ears clean is to let the water run in your ear when you're having a shower. You don't want it streaming into your ear, but you want it to kind of hit the side of your head and just run into your ear, and that will wash the wax out.
And it's okay to have some wax in your ear, right?
Absolutely. Wax is good in your ear.
Yeah.
Wax is there for a reason. It's there to protect the eardrum. It's there to protect this part of the ear from bacteria, from infections.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's toxic to the bad stuff.
Yeah, toxic.
So I do like, I mean, this I have right in my office sitting right there, because I want people to know this is why this is why it sounds like people are mumbling when they're talking. This is where your hearing loss is. Right? So they have an understanding.
It seems like such a small part of your body, but it's so important.
It's very important. And it all happens just like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All this goes through here, it gets down this auditory nerve, and we hear it in the brain, and it's just like that.
Wow.
It's pretty magnificent.
Are there some people who come in who, by the time you're through doing the assessment, you're thinking there's a little bit more here than hearing loss, and they need to get you checked out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a part of everything, you know. If I see something that is unusual, something that I feel needs to be seen by a doctor, then I will make a referral.
Yeah.
I've had people come in on a Saturday. We're the only ones that are open on Saturday. And I've had people come in on a Saturday because they've lost their hearing the night before and they're concerned, and that's a referral to the hospital.
They lost their hearing just overnight.
Just like that, overnight,
Oh.
right? And that is something that should be seen right away. Right away. If you feel your hearing has gone, you know, you wake up in the morning and suddenly you can't hear, you should make an appointment to get your hearing tested, for sure.
I'm a lover of all the medical shows, the ER and all of those. There was a man on the ER show that had a bug in his ear, and when they showed him looking in, this bug's looking out, you know, like bug had crawled in his ear.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Have you?
Some videos of, you know, the spider or something getting
Yeah.
there, and how they put water in there to take it out.
Yeah, and you just
go into
see
the
this
hospital
little
with that.
thing. Yeah, just little thing.
Yeah.
Just looking out.
I haven't experienced that.
No.
No,
lucky.
I've had people with domes stuck in their ears or little wax guards stuck in their ears, and they can usually just be taken out. But no
Yeah.
bugs in my office.
No
yet.
bugs
No
so far,
bugs,
eh?
no.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I think we're going to break here, and we'll come back in a few minutes, and we're going to show you a hearing test, a hearing assessment. So join us when we come back. Welcome back. I'm Barb Richards, host of the show, and today we have Andrew and Tracy Sharpe with me from Sharpe Hearing Services, a family-run operation in Barrie, run by local Barrie people. So again, welcome to the show, and we've been talking about hearing loss and how people go in and you can identify it. Do you have the hearing loss or the? Oh, you have it there.
Put it right here.
Should we look at this first? Because I guess
Actually,
the first thing
we'll
you
look at
would
this
do.
last because this is what we do in the end.
Oh,
so this is
okay.
a part of the hearing assessment.
Okay.
So this is basically what the hearing loss looks like, and it kind of looks just like a lot of red and blue and green. So I like to explain for people to understand what they're looking at. So so when we test hearing, we're testing frequencies of sound, and if you look up here, 250 hertz is actually middle C on the piano.
Okay.
500 hertz is high C. So we test in octaves as we go up. So this is a low tone. This is a very high pitch sound. So these are measurements of your right ear, which is the circles that you see, the red, and your left ear, which is the X's or the blue. This is volume down the side.
Are they usually quite that close together, both ears?
If there's hearing loss, it should essentially be the same in both ears. If
Really?
there's a difference, if there's a significant difference between two ears, that's a medical referral. Right?
Oh,
We want to
okay.
know why is hearing loss in only one ear and not in the other ear.
Yeah.
Because if we lose our hearing as a result of age or noise damage, it should affect both ears the same.
Yeah.
So that's a concern,
Okay.
and that's always a medical referral
Yeah.
if there's a difference. So usually you would see it looking the same.
And so you would go over this. You would show them their chart
Sure.
and what showed up, and what areas they're having difficulty
Right.
hearing in.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is very typical of what hearing loss looks at, like age-related, which we call presbycusis,
Yeah.
age-related hearing loss.
And there's no pass or fail for this test, folks.
Absolutely not.
No, yeah, they're not
Absolutely
going, oh,
not.
look what you just did.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, this person has normal hearing in these first two frequencies.
Oh, okay.
This person would be the typical, it sounds like people are mumbling when they're talking, like they got marbles in their mouth. And, I
Oh,
can't hear very
okay.
well in a noisy environment when there's background noise or other people are talking, or I need the TV louder.
Yeah.
Where this person's difficulty is in these high frequencies. So volume down the side, the further I go down here, the louder the sound is.
Yeah.
So these frequencies in here need to be much louder for this person to hear them. And in speech, it's all those sounds we make with the lips and teeth. The soft sounds, the S, the T, the N, the P, they give us clarity in speech. The low tones, the vowels of speech, give us volume, A, E, I, O, U. But where we struggle with this hearing loss is to hear those high-pitched sounds. So if you think of a list of words down here, hat, sat, fat, bat, mat, cat, they all sound like ah, 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 ah. It's the ha, s, f, b, n, and k that give us understanding of what each word is. So this person would tend to miss those cues in speech, and it sounds like people are mumbling.
Oh, okay.
And this is typical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very typical.
Yes. For
Okay,
hearing loss. For
yeah.
hearing loss. Yes.
Well, I think it's really important that people see their test, right, Tracy? You think-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that they understand, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I having difficulty?
So it looks like you're from space here with this other outfit here. What is this?
So this is what we use to fit and program hearing aids. This is a piece of machinery that I use. A computer programs the hearing aids for me. So the first thing is we decide what's the best hearing aid for you. And if you could
Okay.
pass me one of those, the gray one there in the end right there. Yeah. So if I was fitting this hearing aid right here, this would be something that I would likely fit to this hearing loss back here. Because
Okay.
I don't want to plug up what they hear naturally, those low tones.
Okay.
They already
Yeah.
hear those with normal
Yeah.
hearing. But I want to enhance the high-pitched sounds. So with this hearing aid, I can make things sound sharper, right?
Wow.
With more clarity, because I'm amplifying just the high-pitched sounds. So this piece sits behind the ear, this part goes in the ear, and this little wire just kind of runs down the ear, down
Yeah.
in here. When I put these on and fit them, I use a program to set the targets or the volume for the frequencies that they don't hear. But I use this machine to measure it
Oh, okay.
so that I can see what you're hearing.
Okay, and that way that makes it work better, right?
Right.
It makes it, yeah.
Right. I mean, it's one thing for me to fit it, and there's lots of manufacturers that now have fitting software that we can fit the hearing aid to your hearing loss by using tones, like we're measuring or
Yeah.
testing your hearing. But with this machine, I will often use it to match those targets so that I know now that they're hearing the birds and they're hearing the sharper sounds in speech. So this is really important when I'm fitting hearing aids. And all this is I put a small little microphone, and I always tell people this doesn't hurt at all. It's just a little rubber microphone that I put in their ear with the hearing aid, and then I play them different levels of speech, and they just sit and listen. And then I can see on the screen, which we didn't plug in, but on the screen it shows me what they're hearing.
Oh, so you can tell even without them telling you what they're hearing.
Absolutely. I can use this and use the computer to raise or lower the volume so that I know that they're getting the proper amount of gain that they need. There's specific targets that were developed over many, many years, and they're called fitting formulas that all came out of Australia that help us to measure and fit hearing aids.
Wow,
So there's a science to it for sure.
For sure there is. And Tracy, you said that you're in a great location and you're open Saturdays. Where are you located?
We are. We chose the Bayfield Mall because it's very central to Barrie. We're from Barrie. We grew up in Barrie, so that was the mall of Barrie at one time.
At one time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. We're fighting for it to come back.
Yeah, it's right on a bus route. We have great parking.
Yeah.
A lot of these medical centers, unfortunately, for accessibility for seniors, we have door-to-door main access. So basically you park and you walk right into our clinics. So
We're 10 meters from the
You're
where
part
you
of a
pull up.
drugstore too. There's a drugstore right next to
we
you.
are. We
Yeah.
have our own exterior access to the mall, so you don't have to go walking through the mall if you don't want to get to our clinic. And so choosing a location, we thought about our clients. We thought about, what their needs are. And
Well, I think that's important because as you get older, you just can't be bothered with all the stairs or the elevators and all the things. And then, but it's the frustration of not having any parking to start with.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not enough parking. By the time you get parked, you really just want to go home.
Right.
And the hours.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Yeah, we want it to be.
we like our clients, our patients to have family members come with them. And a lot of people work those Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We wanted to have various different times available. So we have evenings and we have Saturdays available.
And it's accessible, or it's not a closed building, so we can be open on a Saturday or open later in an evening to accommodate for those clients.
Wow. And you'll even go out to people's houses, will you?
We do.
Yes,
we
we do.
do. All of our equipment is mobile. So if someone is really restricted and cannot come into our clinic, we would absolutely do a house call.
Wow. I think that's pretty neat. So the whole test could be done at their house?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, because there are some people who just can't get out of their house, or they just feel they can't anyway.
Yeah.
There is a lot of different needs, and Andrew does go into a couple of retirement homes, nursing homes, long-term care homes in Barrie, and it's important for everyone to get hearing care.
Well, and that would take away some of the, well, the wrong word is stigma, but some of the apprehension of getting hearing test. If you see everybody else getting hearing test, think, well, I guess I could do that too, and 3 other people at the dining room table have hearing aids, and then, well, maybe it's not so bad, so maybe I should.
We do
Get
that.
my hearing
We
checked.
wanted to do that. We wanted to offer a service within retirement homes just to go in and clean hearing aids. It's not just about changing the hearing aid. You need to, there's filters and there's wax guards that
Well, I
need to
think
be
we have
adjusted.
some things here for your hearing aids, so maybe tell us about some of those things.
So these are just some accessories. Not everybody needs everything that's on here. It's really to the individual. These are little wipes that you would use to clean them, like a Sani wipe that you would use to clean a hearing aid to make sure that it's nice
Okay.
and disinfected.
Yeah.
This is a dry aid kit. This is what we call a dryer. It's silica beads, so it keeps the hearing aid nice and dry. So some people who work construction or they
Yeah.
work or they sweat a lot, they may need to have something
Oh,
like
that's
this
neat.
to
Yeah.
keep the moisture out
Because
of their
moisture
hearing aid.
would really affect the hearing aid, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, over time
Yeah.
it would. And you
Yeah.
build rust up in on it, right? If it's
Rust.
always wet
Yeah.
rust. You have some lubricants. This is if the hearing aid is really difficult to put in the ear. This helps to get it in nice and easy. This is actually for wax removal. It's something that people can put drops in their ear to remove hard
Oh,
wax that
okay.
won't come out. And this is for itchy ears. Some people have real issues.
Itchy ears. I one time had itchy ears. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah, so this is Eargene, which is an anti-itching cream that you can
Well,
put in
why
your
would someone
ears.
get itchy ears to start with? I couldn't believe I had itchy ears.
Very dry, you know, if it's very dry out, humid,
Yeah.
it can get dry in your ear, and that can cause that itch.
Oh.
For sure. I mean, it's something that you should see your doctor about too if it's a real chronic
Yeah,
issue. But
yeah.
but we do have that cream and ointment for that.
And what's the blue?
This is just
syringe?
a syringe ball, so this is for putting water in your ear to wash it out.
Okay.
Right? If you're not showering and can't get the water in that way, then you can use a syringe to gently
Okay.
Put water in your ear to wash wax out.
Wow. Wow. So I think that it's just fabulous that you're in a place where people can come and visit you and find easy parking and all of those sorts of things.
That was important for us when we were looking for a location. We had three locations in mind, and I just happened to walk through the drugstore at the Bayfield Mall, and it was the old post office. And I said,
Yeah.
I said, this would be perfect. It's central in the middle of Barrie. There's lots of parking at the Bayfield Mall now, and it's close. I mean, people drop their loved ones off right at the front door, and they're
Yeah.
like 10 steps into the door. So it's
Yeah,
very
right.
accessible, and
Yeah.
there was no question when I saw it. This is the place I want to be for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so there are some other things here on the table. So tell me what let's start over there and tell me what some of these things are.
So it's not always about a hearing aid. It's not
Okay.
always about a hearing aid. Sometimes there may be specific difficulties or certain limitations that people have that a hearing aid may not be the solution or may not be necessary.
Okay.
This is an amplified phone. This is for somebody who just has difficulty on the phone. They may not even have hearing loss necessarily. This is an amplified phone that will boost the volume up on the phone and make it louder for them to hear. It has large buttons for if there's any visual concerns, and it actually talks back as you dial the number. It tells you the numbers that you're dialing. So it's very good to have for everybody, not just necessarily for hearing loss.
Well, I take a lot of messages on the phone, and I have a hearing loss. I think that would be absolutely fabulous because sometimes I can't hear. They talk so fast or so low. Not their problem, my problem.
Right.
But and I get the number wrong, or I do whatever, and that's not very good. I mean, I want to hear what they're saying,
Sure,
and I want to know
absolutely.
why they're calling.
Yeah, and sometimes so an amplified phone may be the solution.
Yeah,
The
so I'll
only
be in to
solution
see
maybe.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for the television. This is just an amplified headset
Okay.
that you would connect to the TV, and it would transmit the sound right into your ears through the headphones, which makes TV much clearer. So if there's a mild hearing loss, hearing aids, they don't have a problem with group situations or one-on-one, but they have trouble with the TV and their spouse is complaining that it's too loud. So this would put the sound right in their ears, and there's no wires or anything. It just connects to the TV, and you stream the sound right into your ear. So that's for the TV set. This is actually a personal amplifier. This is for somebody who maybe can't wear hearing aids. Or
Why couldn't you wear a hearing aid?
there's lots of different reasons. It could be that they can't maintain them themselves. Maybe they only need them to hear nursing staff or family when they come in once in a while, and they don't want to be bothered with hearing aids. This would be great in a doctor's office for people who don't wear hearing aids and they can't hear the doctor. If the doctor had this, the person puts this on, and then this is just an amplifier that this connects to this, and then you talk into this, and it makes it that much louder in their ears.
Oh, okay.
This is rather than spending thousands of dollars on a hearing aid, this is a couple $100.
Yeah.
And if that's all they need, then that's all they need.
Okay. So what about the prices of hearing aids then? Are they out of sight for most people, or
Absolutely not.
no?
No.
Okay.
And that's why
So-
we encourage people to get more than one quote, to get more than one opinion.
Yeah.
We are independent, so we are not committed to any certain manufacturer.
No.
We're not owned by anybody. We own our clinic, so we provide all kinds of different manufacturers of hearing aid, the right solution for the person at the right price.
Right.
Hearing aids, they can be expensive, but they don't have to be expensive. And if all somebody needs is a simple hearing aid so that they can hear the TV better and hear one-on-one with family members, then they don't necessarily need to spend thousands of dollars on a hearing aid. You can get hearing aids for under $1,000 for sure.
Really?
So that's
Yeah.
something that we work out
Well,
with
I think
every
that's something
individual.
that people are afraid of is
Sure.
the cost,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, they see a lot of ads. You know, a lot of ads out there that are discounts and thousands. If you think, wow, it's $1,000 off, then it must be a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. We don't advertise like that. Our prices are our prices,
Yeah.
and they're good.
Okay.
They're good.
Okay, we're going to stop and have a break for a minute, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Today, I have Tracy and Andrew Sharpe with me from Sharpe Hearing Clinic. Have you heard that song, I Can See Clearly Now? Well, you know what? I can hear clearly now. Thanks to going to the Sharpe Hearing Clinic. It really is important, and it really is not as scary as everybody thinks. And there's no disgrace in saying I have a problem hearing. I can't hear what you're saying, or any of those sorts of things. We've talked about all of the things that would happen if you came for a test or assessment of your hearing. It's not a test because there's no pass or fail, right?
Right.
I guess you would fail it if you didn't need one. You know, you can go home and that's
good news.
That's a great
That's a good
fail.
news, that's
Yeah,
good news,
that's a
yeah.
good use. But you told me that you went out and helped a lady just recently with her hearing aid, and then you did something with her TV. Were you connecting the TV to those hearing?
Yeah, so in many cases, and that's a part of our personal service, it's not just about fitting the hearing aids and then off you go. If somebody needs help setting up a TV device, this is a device that would connect your hearing aids to your TV set. So if you wore hearing aids and you wanted to connect your TV to the hearing aids, you would use a device like this. This is connected to the hearing aids, goes around your neck, you push the button, and you can hear the TV through your hearing aids. So you can turn the volume off on the TV. So sometimes there's a couple of connections that need to be done, and if somebody's struggling with it and they don't have somebody that can help them, I'll go out and hook it up. And this one particular client that I went and did it for, as I walked out of her house afterwards, her front lights were burned out on her driveway, and we have a commercial on right now where I ended up changing her light bulbs. So it's not just about fitting hearing aids. It may be
about changing your light bulbs?
It may change your light bulbs
Well,
too. So.
you know, that's pretty good customer service. And for a lot of seniors, they really do want someone to care about what their problems are, and this could be one of many problems that they have in their life, and all the things that are happening. It seems like everything happens at once for people. So what message would you give to the people who are watching today?
You know, if you feel that you have a hearing loss, or you feel that you're having difficulty hearing, a hearing assessment is not. There's no pressure. There's no pressure sale. I'm not about that.
No.
It's about education. It's about understanding your hearing loss. People will make that decision when they're ready. I don't push people into that decision. You will know. I'm there to educate and to help and guide you through the process of it.
Yeah.
And we care. We truly care about people and want them to hear better.
Yeah.
So a big part of that is understanding your hearing loss and educating people through that process.
Well, I think that people can make decisions about what they want and how much they can spend and all of that sort of thing once they understand, once they have all the information, and that's what you give them, so they can make an informed decision, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to just walk in and think you're one of the numbers.
No.
You know, oh yeah, all right, fit them with item number 3. That's fine. We'll see you
Yeah.
a year from now.
Everybody's different. Everybody has, their own way of fitting the hearing aid, and we
Yeah.
really take the time with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can say from experience, I know that you do. And mine, you were just adjusting one that I already had. Yeah. And
Sometimes
but
that's
you
all
took-
it is. Sometimes that's
well,
all it is, right?
Well,
Barb?
you were so great, and it was just like they were all brand new again. So, is there anything you'd like to say to the people out there? Tracy, what would you like to say? You're the voice of Sharpe.
Really, just again, what Andrew said is no pressure. We're there to offer people education and in a comfortable environment. And if people just want to come in to check us out, even if they're currently wearing hearing aids, we're happy to see anyone.
My message to people would be, get a second opinion.
Get a second,
Get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Go and see somebody else,
Yeah.
Because it's not just about the hearing aid, it's about the service that you're getting. What
Yeah.
is it that you're paying for? What does that quote say? It should be broken down. You should know what you're paying for. What are the follow-up services? Am I going to have to pay for those? Am I going to have to pay for parking? These are all parts of it.
Well, that's right. And so what kind of services would they charge for that?
Follow-up services, they could charge for follow-up service. Sometimes clinics will charge a service plan up front, and that
Yeah.
could be a certain amount of money. Others will include it in their dispensing fee. We do that. We include it as a part of our dispensing fee. We don't charge extra for those services. That's
Yeah.
a part of the purchase of the hearing aid, and we consider that. So it's important to know what are the additional costs up front, or am I going to have to pay for ongoing service? We don't charge for ongoing service. That's a part of the fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that will make a big difference to the people who would come in to see you. You're in Coldwater too?
I do. I'm there, I work with the physician, 2 of the doctors in the medical
All right. And
building.
when are you there?
I'm there on Tuesdays. Today. I'm supposed
Today,
to be there,
you're
but I'm
supposed to
here.
be there? You're here.
I'm going there after this.
You'll be there later today.
Yeah, this afternoon.
Yeah. So if you want to book an appointment. And so you have an office right there with the doctors?
Yes, I'm in the medical building in Coldwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a nice clinic. It's
Yeah.
nice. I like Coldwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think now that people should look for and then you should go in and come in and see you? I think that you've certainly told us how welcoming you are, and you know that you're going to give them individual service, and it's all about, helping that person at that moment, right? It's not about how many people we can get in here.
That's
No.
right.
It's not about the numbers.
We are building our business on our reputation. I mean, we've put our name on our business.
Yeah.
So we better be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's our reputation. It's our name.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And there you are, Sharpe Hearing Clinic.
That's
so
right.
they know who you are.
Yeah.
It's, if you're not hiding behind, but if you have a name that everybody has and you're someone working in there, it's not that total connection that you have with Sharpe Hearing Clinic when it's
A lot of times people don't realize that is our name.
That
It takes
oh,
about a
yeah.
year, and they're like, "Oh, you're
That's good.
Sharpe.
yeah, you're Sharpe.
You are Sharpe."
Yeah, you're going to have Sharpe hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I think that people will have got a message today. So thank you very much.
Thank you for
Awesome.
having
Thank
us.
you so much
you.
for
You're
having us,
welcome.
Barb. Thank you.
Thank you to the co-op students and Aaron and Rogers and everyone else who helps produce the show. Barb Richards for the Senior Show, and we'll see you next time.